The dangers of trying to be somebody's dream partner. In my case, it was I wanted to be the dream girlfriend. I looked at who he was, I looked at what he liked, and I would imagine in my head what his dream ideal partner would be like, and I thought, okay, that must be who I must be if I'm going to be in a relationship with him, because that means I'm being the best partner I possibly can. That means I'm being right for him. That means we're going to be strong together. That means our relationship is going to be secure. That means he's going to love me. That means that no one's going to come between us. That means that I can then feel confident in who I am and that I am doing everything right. I thought this was admirable. I thought, wow, how good of me, how loving of me to go out of my way to make sure that I am catering myself to him, to being the best partner I can possibly be, because I want us to be happy together and strong together. Doesn't this sound nice? Don't you agree? Right? And that is why I was so confused and frustrated every single time when things started to, oh my gosh, go wrong. Subconsciously, I thought that if I was doing all of this, if I was being the best partner possible for him and making him so happy, he, right, logically, would therefore make himself be the best partner for me. And we would live in harmony. And it makes sense in many aspects of life because a lot of things in life, you get back what you put into it. If you're taking a math class and you put a lot of effort into it, like how I would need to, you would therefore logically get a better grade because of how much effort you're putting into it. Times where I made big efforts, when I gave it my all, I would over time get really good at something and I would get a good result. And so I just thought, okay, if I give my best, if I do my all for this relationship, I'm therefore, of course, going to get a good result, right? And it seems so logical. It does. But when it comes down to a math class or an art class, it's all you. It's you working better to improve yourself so then you have a better skill. And then when you're graded on your skill, on the output, that's when you win because you'll be able to produce something of better quality. When it comes to a relationship, it's not only you, but it's this other person. So it's no longer you just looking at yourself and seeing, oh, am I better? Then I'm winning. You're also looking at this other person and taking into consideration, how are they acting? Do they feel more love towards me? Is the relationship feeling more secure? What am I getting back from them? Is it working? And so notice that all of a sudden, it's no longer about just your output that is the determining factor of whether you're being a success or not. You're relying on the actions and reactions of this other person, and we are interpreting our level of success based on what they are giving back to us and how we are interpreting our success in the relationship. So instead of just looking at ourselves as a whole and our own skill, so to speak, as a whole, we're looking at this other person and basically saying, grade me. And this is why it starts to get out of control really quickly. Because if we are waiting for A+ behavior from them to then give us the satisfaction of feeling like we just achieved something, it might be rewarding in the morning when they're in a good mood and they wake up on the right side of the bed and they gave us a kiss and we're like, oh yes, I achieved it, it's all working. And then they go and they read an email and something bad has happened at their work and all of a sudden they're just stressed out. They're like, oh, I gotta go into the office. And all of a sudden they're being short with you. Maybe they're no longer available for the plans that you had made. And then this is when we get really prickly because a moment ago we were getting those high grades from them, and then now if they're not giving the loving vibes to you in that moment, you feel like a huge failure. And we're like, oh my God, my good grades. What do I gotta do? What I gotta do for you? Did you want me to pack your lunch for you? Do you want me to drive you to the office so you don't have to get angry at traffic? You start to pander. A lot of the times, it wasn't even anything that they were actually showing displeasure about. It was often my own self looking at myself and measuring myself up to other people, in which I would just automatically pick up off the streets and think, oh my God, I bet she does this better than I do. Or, oh, I bet if he was with her, he'd be so much happier. Measuring ourselves up to other people and to our own ideals of what we have projected, that their opinions of what the perfect partner is. So a lot of times it's us harshly grading ourselves, when in reality we're doing pretty freaking good. We're being very empathetic, we're being very understanding and patient, and at the same time, we're still grading ourselves harshly because we didn't do something perfect, or because they're not showing us the exact thing that we had hoped that we'd get back from them. This is where the tipping point is, where if we continue down on this trajectory, we start to overdo it. I am going to revolve my schedule around you to make sure that I'm always there for you. I'm going to make sure we're doing everything together, because when we spend more time together, I think I'm going to gain points and get that A. And it doesn't work, because when we are basing ourselves on an impossible standard, such as trying to be this idealized version of ourselves just so we feel more secure with our partner, it is going to induce madness. We are going to reach a point where our own emotional needs are not being met because we feel like we can't even have emotions around them, because we're either judging ourselves or because we think that something's going to happen if we do, where we restrict and judge and overthink and condemn ourselves for being who we are. What it is to get your identity back is to start to grade yourself based on how much you like being yourself, not how much someone else likes you being something for them. It is you getting back to who you most want to be for yourself. And this doesn't mean that you're going to become somebody who doesn't care about somebody else's needs. There's a totally different energy when they're leaving for work upset and you say, hey, just let me know how I can support you, I'll be here. Versus being like, oh my God, what do I gotta do? What do I gotta do? Oh, is he gonna be upset? Who do I need to be for this? How can I be better for him? Totally different energies. The first one is from a place of grading yourself, saying, I most want to be in this situation somebody who is grounded, level-headed, who is still in charge of herself, who isn't bending over backwards and doing anything that is out of her control and trying to control things that she cannot control, like somebody else's mood or what happens at his workplace. I don't want to be anxious. I don't want to have this desperate feeling. So I want to grade myself on how grounded I can be to separate his emotions from my control and to let him have his emotions and focus on myself and say, well, is there anything that I want to do for him, that I actually do want to do for him because I care, and not that I want him to feel better or to fix anything? Notice the intentions of where it's coming from and grade yourself on that. So that's how I started, is I started to look at, who do I really want to be in this relationship? Meaning, what is the energy that I bring? What is my personality? What are my interests? Do I have a whole separate life of my own outside of when we're together? Do I have preferences? Do I have needs? Am I a whole interesting person? Or am I his shadow who just kind of follows him around and makes sure that he's still doing okay? And it wasn't fun to live a life where I wasn't even attracted to who I was being. And I think that's the hardest part, is when you lose yourself, you're no longer attracted to the person that you are. You're like, who is this stressed out, tired, upset, obsessive, anxious person who's so insecure, who is so easily swept up in emotions around my significant other? I don't like being this person. I'm not attracted to this person. Of course I don't feel self-love. Of course I don't know who I am, because I'm not even loving my own identity. I'm only loving my identity of being with him. Being with him has become my whole identity. So to stop this madness, instead of being in love with the idea of being the dream partner, I had to be in love with the idea of being my own identity, and to love my identity, to love on who I wanted to be for myself. And so I would start to grade myself on, how did I react to each situation? Was I coming from a place of frazzled, intense need to control and to instantly fix things and trying to get him to grade me? Or am I coming from a place of saying, I'm going to let him handle this like an adult, or hey, I'm going to go and take care of myself in this time, or there's nothing I can do right now to actually help the situation beyond a shallow level. There's only so much I can do. So I'm just going to go and focus on something else. Let him handle it. Let him have his emotions. And when I gave myself like, okay, I'm like, that was a B plus, the way that I handled that, where I didn't freak out. I didn't bend over backwards. I didn't go losing entire hours of my day fretting about him. And I was a little preoccupied with him, but I still was more in control of myself. B plus, good work. And so notice now I am grading myself on my identity, on loving myself for the person that I want to be versus trying to get love by making him give me the approval and being who I think I need to be to get love. So if there's anything I want you to take away from this, is to notice how much you're doing to try to get a good grade from somebody else. And to notice how when you start to grade yourself on how much you are being for yourself, for who you want to be, and then you start to notice how good of a job you already are being, you can grade yourself on that. And then you feel a sense of success and a sense of identity no matter what the person is doing. You won't lose your empathy. You won't lose your compassion. You won't lose your ability to still be a good partner. It's just that you're going to start to become a lot more grounded, calm, aware, and self-assured partner who can handle themselves no matter what your partner is doing. So I hope this helped. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye.